Lucas Carter stepped off the small shuttle with a mixture of excitement and curiosity. The air of planet Veridion was different from Earth, fresh with a hint of wild forests and crisp wind. He had been assigned to the Royal Wolf Nursery, a place where the youngest and most energetic wolf pups were cared for. Lucas was a human veteran, trained for difficult missions, but nothing had prepared him for this unique assignment. As he walked toward the nursery, he noticed the grand structure, made of smooth metal and glass, blending naturally with the surrounding forest. The nursery was alive with movement. Small figures darted across the soft floors, tumbling and chasing one another. These were the royal wolf pups, their fur glinting under the morning light, eyes bright and filled with curiosity. A woman appeared at the entrance, her uniform neat and her expression warm. "Welcome to the nursery," she said. "I am Olivia Bennett, chief caretaker, and you must be Lucas Carter. We have been expecting you." She smiled as she extended her hand. Lucas shook it firmly, sensing the professionalism and care in her demeanor. Olivia led Lucas inside, and the chaos of the nursery hit him instantly. The wolf pups were everywhere, some tumbling over each other, others nudging at the toys scattered across the floor. One tiny pup with gray and white fur leaped into Lucas's path, barely missing his boots. Lucas bent down carefully, letting the pup sniff his hand. It wagged its small tail and then scampered off, only to be followed by two more. Lucas could not help but laugh softly. The pups were fearless and playful, completely unbothered by his presence. Olivia watched him with a knowing smile. "They like to test new people," she explained. "It is their way of learning about their world and the humans around them." Lucas spent the next hour observing and interacting with the pups. He learned quickly that patience was essential. One pup tried to climb onto a low table, and another attempted to hide under a pile of blankets. Lucas gently guided them back, careful not to startle or scare them. He was surprised at how easily he adapted to their energy. His training had taught him discipline and patience, but this was different. It was playful, joyful, and filled with small challenges. As the day progressed, Lucas began to notice something extraordinary. Whenever the pups got too rowdy or tired, they always seemed to find their way to him. One pup, a small brown one with bright eyes, curled up on his lap, closing its eyes as if it had always known that this was the safest place. Lucas was startled at first but then relaxed, feeling a warmth he had not felt in a long time. It was a bond forming, unspoken but immediate. Olivia observed quietly from a distance. "They have a way of choosing the humans they trust," she said softly. "It seems they have chosen you." Lucas smiled and scratched behind the pup's ears. He felt a sense of calm, a connection that went beyond words. The pups were curious, playful, and mischievous, but they were also smart and sensitive. He realized that his role was not just to care for them but to understand them, to build trust and companionship. Throughout the day, more pups approached him, each finding comfort and security in his presence. Lucas had spent much of his life on missions that demanded strength and strategy, but here his strength was measured in patience, kindness, and understanding. The pups were teaching him a new kind of courage, the courage to care and nurture. As evening approached, the nursery settled down. The pups grew tired and began to find quiet corners and soft blankets to rest. Yet, almost all of them circled back to Lucas, forming a small group around him. He leaned back against a cushion, allowing them to curl up and nap, feeling the gentle rise and fall of their breathing. Lucas knew that his time on Veridion would be filled with challenges, but he also realized that it would be full of joy and connection. The wolf pups were mischievous, fearless, and clever, but they had already accepted him as part of their world. And in return, he had opened a part of himself that had been quiet for too long, a part that welcomed companionship and the simple happiness of being needed. As the sun set over the nursery, Lucas looked around at the little figures sleeping peacefully on his lap and at his side. The chaos of the day had settled into calm, and he felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had arrived as a human veteran, trained for conflict and duty, but he was beginning his journey as a friend and protector of the royal wolf pups, a bond that promised adventure, laughter, and a touch of magic on the planet Veridion. The next morning, Lucas Carter returned to the nursery, ready for another day with the wolf pups. He expected the usual playful chaos, but he was not prepared for the cleverness of these little creatures. The pups seemed to remember every nook and corner of the nursery, every small gap or hidden passage. Their energy was endless, and they were determined to explore. Lucas observed quietly as one small gray pup approached the door, sniffing and pawing at it. With a swift, unexpected move, the pup slipped through a slightly open panel and darted into the hallway. Lucas rushed after it, calling its name softly. The pup stopped for a moment, glanced at him, and then scampered down the corridor. Within minutes, 3 more pups followed, giggling with excitement in their own way, tails wagging and little paws tapping the floor. Lucas was both amused and concerned. The royal nursery was designed for safety, but the pups' curiosity was unmatched. He realized that these were no ordinary animals. They were clever, agile, and full of personality. He moved carefully, not wanting to startle them, and soon found himself in a large sunlit room filled with toys and cushions that were meant for exercise. The pups had chosen it as their adventure playground. He watched them play, jumping and tumbling, and then noticed something surprising. One by one, the pups returned to him. A small brown pup jumped onto his lap, followed by a white one with golden ears. It was clear that no matter how far they wandered, they trusted him completely. Lucas felt a swell of pride and warmth. These pups had accepted him as a part of their world, their safe spot in a universe that was otherwise new and strange to them. Olivia Bennet appeared at the doorway, her eyes widening at the sight. "They always come back to the human they trust," she said with a smile. "They have chosen you, Lucas. It is unusual, but it shows the bond you have already built." Lucas nodded, scratching behind the ears of the small brown pup that rested on his lap. He realized that this bond was not just affection, it was trust, and trust was powerful. As the day went on, Lucas worked with the pups, guiding them and teaching them small lessons of discipline and understanding. They were energetic and mischievous, constantly finding ways to test boundaries. Yet, each time they tested him, they came back, curling up beside him or napping on his lap. Lucas was patient and gentle, understanding that these were lessons in trust and companionship. During a short break, Lucas sat down in the corner with the pups gathered around him. One pup rested its head on his shoulder, another curled up at his feet. The connection between human and wolf pups grew stronger with every passing moment. Lucas reflected on his past experiences as a veteran. He had faced danger and challenges, but here, in this nursery on a distant planet, his courage was measured by his kindness and patience. The pups' cleverness did not fade. They found new ways to explore and escape, always testing their boundaries. But Lucas never lost his calm. He learned to anticipate their movements, guiding them gently and redirecting their energy into safe play. He discovered that he could challenge them mentally, offering puzzles and games that engaged their intelligence while keeping them safe. By evening, the pups were tired but content. They had explored, played, and returned to their human protector. Lucas leaned back against a soft cushion, feeling their small bodies press against him as they napped. He smiled, understanding that these little creatures had changed him. They had brought joy, patience, and a sense of connection that he had not realized he was missing. Olivia approached quietly, watching the scene. "You have a gift with them," she whispered. "They sense who truly cares, and they respond in kind." Lucas nodded, feeling the truth of her words. These wolf pups were not just animals. They were intelligent, emotional, and capable of forming deep bonds, and he had earned their trust. As the sun set over the nursery, the pups slept peacefully on his lap and around him. Lucas knew that tomorrow would bring more adventures, more clever escapes, and more lessons in patience and understanding. But he was ready. He had found his place among the royal wolf pups, a human veteran whose heart had become a safe haven for these clever, spirited creatures. Lucas Carter awoke early, feeling the soft weight of the wolf pups resting around him. The bond he had begun to form with them grew stronger each day. As he entered the nursery, the pups immediately recognized him, their tails wagging with excitement. It was clear that they had chosen him as their trusted companion. He began the day by observing their behavior. Each pup had a unique personality. Some were bold and fearless, others cautious and curious. Lucas made it his mission to understand each of them, learning their preferences and habits. He realized that the pups communicated not just with sounds but with gestures and expressions. It was as if they were testing his awareness and intelligence. One small white pup with a golden streak in its fur approached Lucas, placing its tiny paw on his hand. Lucas smiled and gently lifted it onto his lap. Soon, other pups followed, each seeking comfort and reassurance from their human friend. Lucas felt a deep sense of responsibility and warmth. They were teaching him patience and empathy in ways he had never experienced before. Olivia Bennett watched from the doorway. "They respond to your presence because you are calm and patient," she said softly. "They know you will not harm them and that you understand them." Lucas nodded, realizing that trust was the strongest bond he could build with the pups. His military training had taught him strategy and discipline, but these pups were teaching him kindness and understanding. Throughout the morning, Lucas engaged the pups in gentle play, encouraging them to explore and learn. He created small challenges, like guiding them through simple obstacle courses, and rewarded them with soft pats and kind words. The pups responded eagerly, their energy tempered by the trust they felt in his care. It became clear that their mischief was a form of learning, and Lucas was both teacher and companion. During a quiet moment, Lucas reflected on his past experiences. He had faced countless battles and dangerous missions, but nothing had prepared him for the emotional connection he felt with these creatures. Their innocence and intelligence reminded him of the importance of compassion. He realized that true courage was not only facing danger, but also being patient, gentle, and trustworthy. A sudden playful chaos erupted as a group of pups tumbled over each other. Lucas laughed, guiding them with calm words and steady hands. Despite the chaos, the pups kept returning to him, curling up on his lap or resting beside him. Their trust was unwavering, and Lucas felt honored by their affection. Olivia joined him for a short break. "They have never been this close to a human before," she explained. "Most people come and go, but you have earned their trust. They see you as part of their world." Lucas nodded, feeling the truth of her words. It was a rare bond, one that transcended species and spoke to the core of understanding and care. As the day drew to a close, the pups grew tired. They nuzzled against Lucas, each finding comfort in his presence. He leaned back against a soft cushion, allowing them to rest on him. The room was filled with quiet breathing and soft sighs, a peaceful contrast to the morning's playful energy. Lucas knew that their trust was a gift, and he vowed to honor it. He had come to Veridion as a human veteran, experienced in the ways of strategy and courage, but he was learning that true heroism included empathy, patience, and the ability to connect. The wolf pups had chosen him, and in return, he had opened his heart to them. As night fell over the nursery, Lucas Carter sat among the sleeping pups, feeling a sense of fulfillment he had never known. Their bond was more than companionship. It was a connection of trust, understanding, and mutual respect. He smiled softly, knowing that their relationship would grow stronger with each day, and that together, they would face whatever adventures awaited them on the distant planet of Veridion. Lucas Carter began his 4th day at the Royal Wolf Nursery with the same energy and care as always. The wolf pups greeted him with excitement, rushing to nuzzle and play. But today, the usual morning calm was interrupted by a formal presence. Captain Ethan Gray, a stern and authoritative officer of the Royal Council, entered the nursery with a serious expression. "Lucas Carter," Captain Gray began, his tone commanding, "we have received reports of repeated escapes from the nursery. This behavior is causing concern for both the pups and the security of the royal grounds." Lucas nodded respectfully, understanding the concern but aware that the pups were not acting out of malice. They were curious and intelligent. Olivia Bennett stepped forward. "Captain Gray, the pups are simply exploring their environment. They trust Lucas completely, which is why they keep returning to him. The issue is not negligence, but a misunderstanding of their behavior. The captain raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. Lucas remained calm, knowing that patience and demonstration would be more effective than argument. As the day progressed, Lucas worked closely with the pups, keeping them engaged and safely contained while allowing them freedom to play and learn. Captain Gray watched closely, noting every movement and interaction. Despite his initial skepticism, he began to observe something unusual. The pups seemed calmer and happier with Lucas, more attentive and responsive than they had been with any other human. One pup attempted another escape, slipping through a small gap near the nursery door. Lucas followed gently, speaking in soft, reassuring tones. The pup paused mid-run, looked back at Lucas, and then returned to him willingly. Captain Gray's stern expression softened slightly as he witnessed the bond between human and pup. It was clear that Lucas's approach was different, based on trust rather than fear or force. Olivia smiled knowingly. "See, Captain? They respond to kindness and understanding. Punitive measures will only make them anxious and rebellious." Lucas's methods encourage them to explore safely while maintaining their trust. Captain Gray remained silent for a moment, considering her words and observing the pups curling up on Lucas's lap for a brief rest. Lucas continued to guide the pups through playful exercises, redirecting their energy into safe activities. He created small puzzles and obstacle courses, challenging their intelligence and encouraging teamwork. The pups responded eagerly, demonstrating cleverness and adaptability. Lucas felt a sense of pride and responsibility. He was not just a caretaker, but a teacher and protector. As the afternoon sun cast warm light across the nursery, Captain Gray approached Lucas quietly. "I did not expect this approach to be so effective," he admitted. "You have earned their trust, and they clearly respect and respond to you. Perhaps there is a lesson here for us as well." Lucas nodded humbly, understanding that patience, empathy, and understanding often achieved more than strict enforcement or rules. By evening, the pups were tired and content. They had explored, played, and returned to the safety of Lucas's presence. Captain Gray and Olivia observed the scene with quiet approval. The pups lay around Lucas, some napping on his lap, others curled against his side. The once chaotic nursery was now filled with calm and trust. Lucas reflected on the day's events. The Royal Council's concern had been understandable, but he realized that true guidance required more than rules and supervision. It required connection and understanding. The wolf pups had taught him lessons in patience, empathy, and leadership, and he had learned that his role was to balance care with freedom, structure with trust. As the nursery settled into the evening, Lucas Carter sat among the resting pups, feeling the warmth of their presence and the strength of the bonds he had nurtured. The royal interference had not disrupted their connection. Instead, it highlighted the importance of trust, patience, and mutual respect. He knew that tomorrow would bring more adventures and challenges, but he was ready, confident that together, he and the wolf pups could face whatever came their way on the distant planet of Veridion. The next morning, Lucas Carter entered the Royal Wolf Nursery, expecting the usual playful chaos. But today, the pups seemed more determined and clever than ever. Their curiosity was unstoppable, and Lucas quickly realized that they had discovered another way to explore beyond the nursery walls. One small gray pup approached the door, sniffing and pawing at it. With a sudden burst of speed, it slipped through a tiny gap and darted into the open hallway. Lucas called after it, moving carefully so as not to startle the others. Within moments, more pups followed, each eager for adventure. Lucas took a deep breath and followed, knowing that outside the nursery lay uncharted territory. As they moved through the hallways, Lucas discovered new parts of the royal compound that he had never explored. There were lush indoor gardens, small courtyards, and wide corridors filled with sunlight. The pups navigated these areas with astonishing agility, climbing small ledges and investigating hidden corners. Lucas had to think quickly to keep up with them, using gentle guidance and calm words to maintain their safety. The pups' energy and cleverness were remarkable. They leaped over obstacles, squeezed through narrow spaces, and even used each other to reach higher spots. Lucas watched in awe, realizing how intelligent and adaptable they were. Each pup had its own personality. Some were bold and fearless, while others were cautious and observant. Yet, despite their adventurous spirit, they kept returning to him, seeking reassurance and comfort. As they approached a sunlit courtyard, Lucas noticed the beauty of the planet Veridion. Strange plants with glowing leaves and unusual flowers surrounded them, creating an otherworldly atmosphere. The pups explored cautiously, sniffing and pawing at the plants, while Lucas followed closely, ready to intervene if necessary. He felt a sense of wonder and excitement, knowing that he was discovering this world alongside the pups. Suddenly, a low growl echoed from the far side of the courtyard. Lucas's instincts kicked in, and he moved quickly toward the sound. A pair of alien predators emerged, curious but cautious. The pups froze, sensing danger. Lucas stepped between them and the predators, using his calm voice and presence to keep them at bay. His experience as a veteran allowed him to assess the threat and act decisively, ensuring the safety of the pups. The predators eventually retreated, and Lucas led the pups back to the nursery, keeping them close and calm. The adventure had shown him not only their intelligence and courage, but also the importance of vigilance and protection. The pups had learned to trust his guidance, and he had learned to respect their cleverness and curiosity. Back in the nursery, the pups settled down, curling up around Lucas and napping on his lap. He reflected on the day's events, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. The pups had challenged him, tested his patience and skills, and strengthened the bond between them. Lucas realized that this adventure was not just about exploration. It was about trust, guidance, and mutual respect. Olivia Bennett entered quietly, smiling at the sight. "They always find their way back to you," she said. "It shows how much they trust you and how strong the bond has become." Lucas nodded, gently stroking the small gray pup that had initiated the escape. He understood that their bond was growing stronger with each challenge and each shared experience. As evening approached, Lucas sat among the resting pups, feeling the warmth of their presence and the strength of their connection. Today's adventure had been thrilling and dangerous, but it had reinforced the trust and companionship that defined their relationship. He knew that the pups' cleverness and curiosity would continue to lead them into new challenges, and he was ready to face them together. On the distant planet of Veridion, Lucas Carter had found not only responsibility and duty, but also friendship, trust, and a sense of wonder that would guide him and the wolf pups in all the days to come. Lucas Carter had grown accustomed to the energy and curiosity of the wolf pups. Each day brought new adventures, and today was no exception. The pups were playful and eager, rushing about the nursery with boundless enthusiasm. Lucas watched closely, knowing that their cleverness sometimes led them into unexpected danger. As the pups explored a corner of the nursery that opened into a small outdoor enclosure, Lucas noticed a movement in the shadows. A pair of alien predators had slipped close, their eyes glinting with intent. The pups had not noticed them yet, absorbed in their games. Lucas's instincts kicked in immediately. He moved swiftly, positioning himself between the pups and the threat. "Stay close to me," he instructed in a calm but firm voice. The pups instinctively obeyed, their small bodies pressing against his legs for protection. Lucas assessed the situation, recognizing that the predators were testing boundaries rather than attacking outright. His training as a veteran helped him remain calm, thinking through the best course of action. Using his voice and presence, Lucas managed to divert the predators' attention away from the pups. He clapped his hands and stomped, creating a distraction while slowly backing the pups towards safety. The clever animals seemed to understand his signals, moving as he guided them, their trust in him evident in every step. One brave pup darted forward, curious about the intruders. Lucas quickly intercepted it, scooping it up and holding it close. He whispered soothing words, feeling its tiny body tremble slightly. The other pups huddled near him, seeking comfort and security. Lucas realized that this was a crucial moment. He needed to protect them physically while reinforcing their trust and sense of safety. The predators eventually retreated, perhaps deterred by Lucas's steady presence and the unity of the group. Lucas kept the pups close, ensuring that none of them strayed as he led them back into the nursery. Their small bodies pressed against him, and he felt the warmth and trust in their embrace. It was a moment of connection that went beyond simple care. It was mutual understanding and loyalty. Olivia Bennet arrived shortly after, having noticed the commotion from a distance. She watched as Lucas gently placed each pup down, checking to make sure none were hurt. "You handled that perfectly," she said, her voice filled with admiration. "They trust you completely, and today, you proved how much that trust matters." Lucas nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and pride. He had faced danger many times in his life, but protecting these pups brought a different kind of satisfaction. Throughout the day, Lucas monitored the pups closely, reinforcing the lessons of caution and awareness. He praised their curiosity but reminded them gently to stay near safe areas. The pups responded positively, their behavior guided by trust and understanding. Lucas realized that this incident had strengthened the bond between them. They had faced a threat together, and he had been their protector. As evening fell, the pups gathered around Lucas, some napping on his lap while others curled up at his side. The room was filled with quiet breathing and soft sighs, a peaceful contrast to the day's earlier tension. Lucas felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that his actions had kept them safe and reinforced their connection. He reflected on the events of the day, understanding that being a human veteran was not only about courage and skill in battle, but also about empathy, patience, and responsibility. Protecting the wolf pups required a different kind of bravery, one that combined vigilance with care and understanding. Lucas had proven himself not just as a protector, but as a trusted friend and guide. As night descended over the nursery, Lucas Carter sat among the resting pups, feeling the warmth of their small bodies and the strength of the bond they had formed. The day had brought challenges, but it had also highlighted the deep connection between human and wolf pups. Lucas smiled, knowing that this trust and loyalty would guide them through future adventures on the distant planet of Veridion, and that together, they were stronger than any threat that might come their way. The morning sun streamed into the Royal Wolf Nursery, casting warm light over the sleeping pups. Lucas Carter entered, carrying a sense of calm and confidence after the previous day's adventure. The wolf pups stirred at his presence, wagging tails and nuzzling against him as they had come to do. But today, a special announcement awaited them and their human caretaker. Captain Ethan Gray arrived, accompanied by members of the Royal Council. There was an air of formality, a sense that today was important. Lucas straightened, observing the captain's serious expression, but also noticing a subtle hint of respect. The council members had come to witness something unusual, a recognition of the bond between human and wolf pups. "Lucas Carter," Captain Gray began, his voice clear and commanding. "Your actions over the past days have shown courage, patience, and an understanding of these creatures that is truly remarkable. You have earned not only their trust but our admiration as well." Lucas felt a mix of pride and humility. He knew he had simply acted with care and attentiveness, but the acknowledgement from the council was meaningful. Olivia Bennet stepped forward, smiling warmly. "The pups have chosen him," she said. "They trust him completely, and his guidance has kept them safe while allowing them to explore and learn. His bond with them is unlike anything we have seen before." Lucas nodded, feeling the truth in her words. The pups, oblivious to the formalities, continued to play and nuzzle against him, their trust evident in every gesture. The council members observed quietly, noting how the pups responded to Lucas. One small gray pup climbed onto his lap, and another curled up beside him, closing its eyes in contentment. Captain Gray watched intently, realizing that the human veteran's patience and understanding had achieved more than any rules or restrictions could. "We have learned a valuable lesson from you, Lucas," Captain Gray admitted. "The trust and bond you have established with these pups show us the importance of empathy, patience, and guidance. Strength is not only in authority but also in care and understanding." Lucas smiled, appreciating the acknowledgement. It was rare to receive such recognition, but it reinforced the significance of the connection he had built. Throughout the day, Lucas continued his work with the pups, guiding them through playful exercises, gentle lessons, and safe exploration. The pups responded eagerly, demonstrating cleverness and intelligence, but always returning to Lucas for reassurance and comfort. Their behavior reflected not only their natural curiosity but also the trust they placed in him. As the afternoon sun cast long shadows across the nursery, the council members departed, leaving Lucas and the pups to their daily routine. Olivia approached him quietly. "You have set an example for us all," she said softly. "Your bond with them is proof that humans can achieve remarkable things when we act with understanding and care." Lucas nodded, feeling a sense of fulfillment and responsibility. The recognition was meaningful, but the trust of the wolf pups was the greatest reward. By evening, the pups had settled into a peaceful rest, many of them curling up on Lucas's lap or beside him. He leaned back against a cushion, feeling their warmth and the strength of the bond they shared. The royal recognition had affirmed his role, but it was the everyday moments, the playful interactions, the gentle guidance, and the trust that truly defined his connection with the pups. Lucas reflected on the journey so far. From his arrival to their first adventures, to facing dangers and gaining their trust, he had grown alongside them. The wolf pups had taught him lessons in patience, courage, and empathy, and in return, he had provided guidance, protection, and companionship. Their bond was more than recognition. It was a partnership built on respect and trust. As night fell over the nursery, Lucas Carter sat among the resting pups, feeling the quiet strength of their connection. The royal recognition was significant, but the bond with the wolf pups was lasting and profound. Together, they had faced challenges, learned from each other, and built a relationship that would guide them through all future adventures on the distant planet of Veridion. The following morning, Lucas Carter entered the Royal Wolf Nursery with a sense of peace and joy. The pups greeted him as they always did, their tails wagging and small bodies pressing against his legs. Their bond had grown stronger with each passing day, and Lucas could feel the trust and affection radiating from them. The nursery was filled with the usual playful chaos, but it was a gentle kind of chaos now. The wolf pups explored, tumbled, and chased each other, yet they always returned to Lucas. It had become a pattern, a comforting routine that reinforced the bond they shared. No matter how far their curiosity led them, they knew where safety and comfort could always be found. Lucas moved among them, guiding and playing, observing each pup's unique personality. Some were bold, seeking adventure in every corner, while others were more cautious, preferring to watch and learn. Yet all of them shared the same trust in their human protector. Lucas had learned their signals, their gestures, and their playful antics. He understood them in a way that went beyond words. One by one, the pups began to settle down. The bold gray pup curled up on Lucas's lap, eyes closing as if it had always known that this was the safest place. Another white pup nestled against his side, and a small brown pup pressed its head into his shoulder. The room, once lively with movement and excitement, now grew quiet, filled only with the soft breathing of the sleeping pups. Olivia Bennet watched from a distance, smiling softly. "They have chosen you completely," she whispered. "This bond is rare and special. They feel safe, loved, and protected with you." Lucas nodded, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. The recognition from the council and the admiration from the staff were meaningful, but this, the trust and affection of the pups, was the greatest reward. Lucas leaned back against a cushion, letting the pups rest comfortably around and on him. Their warmth and gentle presence brought a sense of peace that he had not realized he needed. It was a quiet moment of connection, a reminder that care, patience, and trust could create something truly extraordinary. As the day continued, the pups occasionally stirred, stretching and adjusting, but they never strayed far from Lucas. Even when new visitors came to the nursery, the pups sought him out, napping on his lap or leaning against him. It was clear that no matter what distractions or adventures came their way, Lucas's presence was their anchor. Lucas reflected on the journey that had brought him here. From his arrival on Veridion, to the clever escapades, the adventures beyond the nursery, and the moments of danger he had faced. The pups had become more than charges to care for. They were companions, friends, and a part of his life. In return, he had offered guidance, protection, and unwavering trust. Evening approached, and the sun cast a golden glow across the nursery. The pups were all settled, a few napping gently on Lucas's lap, others resting beside him. He smiled softly, feeling the depth of their connection. This bond was unbreakable, a testament to patience, empathy, and understanding. Lucas knew that no matter what challenges the future held, he and the wolf pups would face them together. As night fell over the royal nursery, Lucas Carter sat surrounded by the sleeping pups, their small bodies warm against him. The room was quiet, the chaos of the day replaced by serenity. The wolf pups had chosen him, and he had chosen them. Their trust and affection were permanent, a reminder of the extraordinary bond between human and creatures on the distant planet of Veridion. Forever, they would find comfort and safety on the human veteran's lap, a symbol of loyalty, care, and the special connection that defined their lives together.